Is India ready for a 5G smartphone? The short answer is no, and the long answer is while it won't be ready anytime soon, you might still want to buy a 5G smartphone right now anyway. The Realme X50 Pro is one of these options. While we can't test its 5G functionality in India right now, we can and we definitely will tell you whether it's worth buying. Before we go ahead, do remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified whenever we post a new video. The Realme X50 Pro does feel like a pretty high-end phone, at least on par with current OnePlus offerings in the same price bracket. I found one-handed usage difficult because of how tall the 6.44-inch 20:9 screen is and how smooth the glass back is. On the bottom of the device, we have the USB Type-C port, speaker and SIM tray. I have to point out that there's no 3.5mm audio socket, which is frustrating. Display quality is also one of the X50 Pro's selling points. Realme has used a 6.44-inch Super AMOLED HDR10+ panel with a 90Hz refresh rate. The screen is excellent with nice vibrant colors and adequate brightness. The wide dual camera cutout can be distracting when watching full screen video, but at least it's in one corner and not centered. The stereo speakers on this phone are a very pleasant surprise. Sound is loud and rich with a reasonable amount of bass, and distortion is under control unless you max out the volume. What you won't find on this phone are wireless charging, an IP water and dust resistance rating, an exotic selection of cameras, and a super sharp display. Realme has held back on these features in order to hit an attractive price point. As for software, we have Android 10 with Realme UI 1.1 on top, which is a slightly customized version of Oppo's ColorOS. The UI is fairly simple and sticks to the general layout of stock Android, but there are a few modifications. You also get lots of UI personalization options, including the ability to dispense with an app drawer so all icons are placed on your phone's home screen. Some of Realme's own features include game space, driving and riding modes, app cloning, and the ability to feed dummy personal information to apps to protect your privacy. The default lock screen magazine shows promoted content, but this can be disabled easily. We noticed a lot of clickbait spam notifications from the Realme UI's web browser, and we weren't thrilled about having multiple app and game stores plus pre-installed bloatware apps, many of which can't be uninstalled. Now let's talk about performance. We obviously had high expectations from the Snapdragon 865 processor. Needless to say, we had no trouble at all with speed and responsiveness when using this phone. We didn't feel any lack of performance from the last few generations of flagship SoCs either, so it's hard to tell that there's anything new going on under the hood when going about your everyday business. We only felt the rear get a little warm when running tests and recording 4K video for long stretches. We played PUBG Mobile and were able to bump the graphics quality up to HDR and the frame rate up to Ultra with no noticeable reduction in smoothness or responsiveness. Asphalt 9 Legends was also thoroughly enjoyable with no stuttering whatsoever. Realme has managed to deliver impressive battery life as well. We didn't have to charge our unit until midway through the second morning after using this phone throughout a full day. Our HD video loop test ran for 19 hours and 4 minutes. Thanks to this phone's 65-watt charger, we managed to go from completely dead to 25% in roughly 7 minutes, 50% in just over 14 minutes, and 75% in 22 minutes, after which the charging rate began to reduce. A full charge took exactly 41 minutes and 16 seconds, which is longer than Realme's 35-minute claim but still extraordinary. The Realme X50 Pro 5G has 4 rear cameras, and you can see the specs on screen right now. Daylight photos seemed richly detailed with crisp focus but slightly subdued colors. A little grain was visible when reviewing photos at full size. The phone did handle exposures well even when shooting against the sun. The wide-angle camera works well enough and distortion at the edges was minimal. The telephoto camera is also useful, and the photos we took at 2x were fine in terms of quality. Things do degrade when you get to the digital and hybrid zoom ranges, but in the daytime at least you might be able to pick out some detail in the distance. We had a lot of trouble trying to focus on macro subjects, and this phone doesn't seem to work well for small subjects even if the background is in the distance. On the other hand, portrait mode gave us some very impressive results, preserving fine detail on our subjects and gently blurring the background to make subjects really stand out. At night, photo quality was okay but not always great. Photos were bright and colors were well represented though. Strangely, night mode gave us some extremely weird results with distorted colors, and details weren't improved that much in some shots. We wouldn't depend on this mode, and we hope software fixes can take care of it in the future. The wide-angle and telephoto cameras both did okay jobs if there was enough light around, and the results were murky but usable. Now let's take a look at the selfie camera specs. Our only complaint to the front cameras is that beautification is on by default. Photos looked good even at night, and edges were defined well in portrait shots. You can shoot video at up to 4K. Stabilization isn't great though, and video that we shot while walking was very jerky. Colors were way overblown and oversaturated at 4K both in the daytime and at night, making video look artificial and unpleasant. The tone was more neutral and more natural at 1080p. We did notice some shimmer and jerkiness in clips shot at night, but they were bright enough and detail was surprisingly good while noise was under control. Among the Realme X50 Pro 5G's best attributes are its super fast charging, versatile cameras, powerful processor, and slick overall look and feel. You don't get wireless charging or an IP rating, and we'd have liked a less slippery back, but these are minor issues considering the price. The Realme X50 Pro competes at the same price level as the OnePlus 7T and is in many ways more modern and capable. We don't know how much time Realme will have to capitalize on its first mover advantage before the OnePlus 8 series is announced, but for now, its lead is clear. Thanks for watching. That was our review of the new Realme X50 Pro 5G. For more videos like this, please make sure to visit us at gadgets360.com.